Deep Space Station Helios 4 floated in the quiet darkness at the edge of the Milky Way. It was far from trade routes, far from colonies, far from anything normal. Most people did not even know the station existed. Only scientists, military officers, and a few brave explorers worked there. Their mission was simple: study strange signals from deep space, signals older than any known civilization. On this silent night, the scanners picked up something new, something no one had ever seen before. A dark energy pulse appeared on the large screen in the command room. It was not a star, not a planet, not a ship, not even a natural phenomenon. It was a shape made of pure darkness, moving like a heartbeat. The station's commander, Captain Arlen Hayes, stepped closer to the screen. "What is that?" he asked quietly. No one answered. Even the experienced scientists, who had worked with alien technology for decades, had no words. The pulse kept beating, slow at first, then faster, then slower again, like it was alive. Dr. Lyra, the station's chief scientist, finally spoke. "This is not random. This is a pattern. Someone is sending this." The team quickly decoded the strange signal. It turned into symbols, ancient shapes, curved lines, and violent strokes. They looked like warnings, but no one could understand them. After hours of work, Dr. Lyra's face turned pale. "Captain, this message is not asking for help. It is telling us to stay away." The room grew silent. Hayes ordered a probe to be sent toward the signal source, a dark sector known as Zone X-19, a place avoided even by alien races. The probe's small camera drifted into the region and showed something terrifying: a massive black scar in space. A long tear like the universe itself had been ripped open. The crew watched the footage in fear. Suddenly, something moved inside the scar. At first it looked like smoke, then like a shadow, then like wings, giant wings stretching across kilometers. The creature's shape was unclear, but it was enormous, far bigger than any ship humanity had ever built. The probe tried to escape, but the creature turned toward it. For a moment, the screen turned white. Then a single word appeared, written in perfect human English. "Stop." No one spoke. No one breathed. The probe lost all systems and disappeared. Some crew members begged the captain to leave the area, but Earth Command, far away and unconvinced, sent a strict order: fire a test energy pulse at the scar. "We need to understand it." Captain Hayes hesitated. He felt something deep inside: fear, warning, instinct. But he followed the order. The station fired a small energy beam at the black scar. For a few seconds, nothing happened. Then the scar opened wider, like an eye waking up. Dozens, maybe hundreds of dark shapes began moving inside it. They crawled, slithered, flew, and twisted in impossible ways. Their bodies glowed with strange blue symbols. Some had wings that looked like knives. Some had long limbs made of bone and light. All of them were alive. Sensors screamed. Dr. Lyra grabbed the captain's arm. "We didn't just find a species. We opened a prison!" A loud psychic wave hit the station. Everyone felt pressure in their minds, like someone was pushing into their skulls. Then they heard a voice, not through speakers, not through radios, but inside their heads. "You broke the seal. You woke us." Captain Hayes whispered, "What are you?" The answer came instantly. "We are the Catherine, the ones your galaxy feared." Outside the window, the creatures began to spread across the stars. Humanity had accidentally started something terrible. War was coming. The creatures, now clearly awake, moved like shadows across space. Their bodies glowed with faint blue lines that pulsed like veins filled with living fire. The crew of Helios 4 stared through the observation window, frozen with shock. No one had ever seen life move in a vacuum without suits or ships. But these beings moved freely, as if space itself obeyed them. Captain Arlen Hayes tried to keep his voice steady. "Raise all shields. Lock down the station." But locking down a station meant nothing when the thread itself could slip through light and darkness. As if they were doors, a sharp ringing filled the room. People covered their ears as a sharp wave hit their minds again, stronger this time. Dr. Lyra gasped. "They're talking again, but not in words." She pressed her hand to her head. "They're communicating by force. They speak directly into our thoughts." Everyone felt it now: fear, pressure, and something strange, something cold. It was like standing in a dark room with a predator breathing on your neck. Then the message came. Slow, heavy, and powerful. "You opened the sealed place. You broke the ancient rule." Lieutenant Reng, the youngest officer, trembled. We didn't know. We didn't know it was a seal. But the creatures did not care. Outside, the Catharan spread out in a formation, perfect, terrifying, silent. Some flew forward like arrows. Others curled around the station, studying it, scanning it. Captain Hayes tried to speak through radio channels, hoping they understood technology. "This is humanity's station Helios 4. We apologize for any damage. This was not aggression. He stopped. Every screen on the station turned black. Then a glowing blue symbol appeared, the same symbol from the ancient warning. The symbol burned like fire. The Catharan were answering. Inside the minds of every human on the station, the words came like thunder. "You chose war. You fired. You broke the lock. Your kind must face the cost." A cold silence followed. Then the universe itself seemed to scream. The Catharan released a shockwave that rippled across space. Every sensor on the station broke at once. Lights flickered. Metal groaned. People fell to their knees, hands on their heads, trying not to scream. It felt like their minds were being split open. Captain Hayes forced himself up and slammed the emergency switch. "Send a distress message to the Galactic Council now." Lieutenant Reng nodded shakily and activated the long-range beacon. "It's sent, sir, but I don't know if anyone can hear us." Dr. Lyra stared at the blue glowing symbols on monitors. "I've studied alien languages for 30 years, she whispered. "But this is older than any life known. These symbols belong to a civilization that should be extinct." Captain Hayes frowned. "Then why are they alive?" Dr. Lyra's eyes were filled with fear. "Because they were never dead. They were sealed." Before Hayes could respond, the station's beacon flashed an incoming message. The screen cracked with static, but a shape appeared, a Trinari diplomat, an old alien with golden skin and long black markings. "Humanity," the alien said, panting. "What have you done?" Hayes tried to explain, but the Trinari cut him off. "You have awakened the Catharan. They were locked away by every species in the galaxy. They are the oldest hunters, the first destroyers. Entire empires died to put them into that prison," Dr. Lyra whispered. "So the galaxy knew about the scar, but never told us." The Trinari nodded. "No one told you because we feared you would investigate. Humans are curious, reckless, and now you have opened what must never be opened." The screen flickered again as more alien ships appeared behind the Trinari. "We cannot save you," he said. "The Catharan do not forgive. They do not give warnings twice." The message cut. Captain Hayes looked out the window. The Catharan were gathering again, forming a new shape, a twisted swarm. Their bodies glowed brighter as they prepared for something terrible. Dr. Lyra backed away from the glass. "Oh no," she whispered. "They're sending a message." This time it was not to the station. It was to the entire galaxy. Every communication channel on every world suddenly burned with the same chilling words. "Humanity has chosen war." Across thousands of worlds, screens flickered with the Catharan message. Alien leaders held emergency meetings. Fleets scrambled. Civilians panicked. And in the middle of all this chaos, humanity stood alone. Helios 4 watched helplessly as the Catharan swarm changed formation. Their glowing lines pulsed faster, brighter, like they were preparing for battle. Captain Arlen Hayes felt his stomach twist. "They're not just angry," he whispered. "They're organizing." Dr. Lyra stared at the scanner readings that barely worked anymore. "These creatures don't use technology. They are the technology." Outside the window, one of the massive winged creatures opened its jaws. There was no mouth inside, only a swirling blue vortex like a star pulled inside out. It roared silently, shaking the station. Lieutenant Reng gripped his chair. "Sir, do they know we're the ones who fired the pulse?" Hayes nodded slowly. "They know everything." Before anyone could speak, a blinding flash hit the station. A Catharan strike. The shockwave was silent but powerful. Helios 4 shook violently. Alarms screamed. Panels burst. Sparks rained from the ceiling. "We're under attack. Shields dropping to 40%! More flashes. More strikes. The creatures did not fire lasers or missiles. They unleashed beams of raw energy from their own bodies. Every strike felt like a punch from a star. Dr. Lyra struggled to stand. "Captain, if they wanted to destroy us, they would have done it already." Hayes understood. The Catharan were not trying to kill Helios 4. They were testing humanity, saving their real power for Earth. "Get us out of here," Hayes ordered. "Prepare a slip-space jump." Lieutenant Reng tried to activate the engine, but his console exploded. "Slip-space drive is gone, sir. The station was trapped. Another blast hit the hull, tearing off an entire wing of the station. Debris drifted into space like ashes from a burning city. Hayes clenched his fists. They're dismantling us, piece by piece. The Catharan formed a circle around the dying station, glowing brighter with each pass. Their wings folded into new shapes, sharp, blade-like, cutting the darkness. Then, as suddenly as the attack began, the creatures backed away. Lieutenant Reng gulped. They're leaving? Dr. Lyra shook her head. No, they're moving to their real target. All screens around the station lit up with fresh reports from across the galaxy. Colony Vega 9 and lost. Colony Prospera, destroyed. Colony Dawnstrike, no survivors. The Catharan were hitting human colonies at impossible speed. They didn't travel through slip space. They tore open reality and moved through it like water. Hayes stared at the reports, his face pale. They're wiping out every human world along their path. But the worst message came next. A live feed from Vega 9, brief, shaky, barely holding together. A human officer screamed into the camera. They're everywhere! Our weapons don't... Static. Then the image cleared for one final second. A Catharan looked directly into the camera. Its face was skeletal and smooth, its eye sockets filled with glowing blue fire. It tilted its head, studying the humans with cold interest. Then it pressed a long blade-like hand against the camera. The feed died. Lieutenant Reng whispered, "Well, what are we fighting?" Dr. Lyra answered, her voice shaking. "They're not just predators. They're extinction machines." The distress beacon beeped, another incoming message. This time from the Galactic Council. The Trinari diplomat appeared again, but now his face was filled with terror. "Humanity must evacuate," he shouted. "You cannot defend your worlds. The Catharan feed on energy. Your weapons make them stronger." Hayes clenched his jaw. "What about the Council fleets?" "They are already fighting," the Trinari said. "And they are losing." Behind him, flashes of battle filled the screen. Alien warships burning, creatures slicing through metal like paper, star cruisers exploding. The Trinari looked straight at Hayes. "Your kind woke the storm. Now you must survive it. If you can." The message cut off. Silence fell over the ruined station. Captain Hayes stood at the window, watching the Catharan swarm disappear into slip-space tears, moving toward humanity's heart. Earth. Hayes whispered the words no one wanted to say. The first strike wasn't against us. It was our warning. The ruins of Helios 4 drifted quietly in space. Fires flickered inside broken corridors, small sparks of light in the endless dark. The crew worked to repair the communication system, hoping to contact anyone who was still alive. Captain Arlen Hayes stood at the shattered window, staring at the distant stars where the Catharan had vanished. He finally spoke. "We need answers. Real answers." Dr. Lyra nodded. She knew exactly what he meant. For too long, the galaxy had warned humans about forbidden zones, ancient ruins and sealed regions, but no one ever explained why. Humanity believed they were myths, exaggerations, old alien legends, but now those legends were awake and killing. Before the captain could say more, the distress beacon blinked again, another incoming message. This one came from a far-off moon called Rios, home to the greatest alien archive ever built. The hologram flickered and formed into a shape. A tall, thin alien with 4 long horns and silver skin. His eyes glowed with soft light. "I am Archivist Voro of the Council Library," he said calmly. "And I believe you need to hear the truth." Hayes stepped forward. "Tell us everything." Voro nodded. The Catharan were not born like other species. They evolved before the galaxy was young, before stars were stable, before worlds had oceans. They came from the dark matter storms, shaped by forces no one understands. Dr. Lyra whispered. "They're older than life." "Older than most life," Voro corrected gently. "They hunted the early civilizations, beings far stronger than us. The Catharan devoured energy, light, entire planets. Every empire feared them." Lieutenant Reng swallowed hard. "Why didn't anyone tell us this?" "Why hide it?" Voro's expression darkened. "Because we believed they were gone. The old empires, the first races trapped. The Catharine inside a prison, made of dead stars. It was called the Eclipse Seal, a boundary of collapsed star matter, locked with ancient symbols. Breaking even one part could wake them." Hayes understood at once. "The pulse we fired damaged the seal." Voro nodded slowly. And that is why the Catharan believe humanity chose war. The station crew fell silent. The truth felt heavy, like gravity had doubled. Dr. Lyra whispered, "The symbols we saw, they were warnings." Voro continued, "The first races erased all records of the Catharan, so no new civilization would try to search for them. The fewer who knew, the safer the galaxy remained." Hayes clenched his fists. "So humanity wasn't warned because we couldn't be trusted." Voro hesitated. "You are curious, brave, but sometimes bravery becomes foolishness. The Council feared you would try to explore the sealed zone." Lieutenant Reng looked bitter. "So they were right." But Voro shook his head. "No, they were wrong about something else. They believed the seal was strong. They believed the Catharan were truly trapped. But something weakened the prison long before you fired that pulse." Hayes frowned. "What do you mean?" Voro's eyes glowed brighter. There was already a crack in the seal. A small one. The first races predicted the seal would last forever. They were wrong. Time destroys all things, even star-made cages. The crew exchanged fearful glances. Dr. Lyra stepped forward. "So the Catharan were already waking up. We only finished the job." "Yes," Voro said quietly. "And because your pulse struck the exact weak point, the Catharan believed the attack was intentional." Hayes felt a cold chill run through him. "How many Catharan are there?" Voro closed his glowing eyes. "No one knows. The first races fought for 10,000 years. Entire galaxies burned, and still they could not kill the Catharan. They only trapped them." The station was silent. Then Voro added one final detail, something even worse. "The Catharan were not sealed alone." Hayes blinked. "What?" "There were other creatures inside the prison. Beast machines, horrors we cannot name. If the Catharan break the seal completely, those things may escape too." The crew felt their hearts freeze. Hayes whispered, "How do we stop them?" Voro sighed. "The first races left one final weapon. A blueprint, a plan, but it can only be used at great cost." Hayes asked, "Where is it?" Voro looked straight at him. "On Earth." Earth had never looked smaller. From orbit, the blue planet seemed fragile, tiny, and completely unprepared. Across the globe, cities burned as Catharan scouts sliced through defenses faster than anyone could track. Every military satellite showed the same horrifying images. Winged horrors, glowing with impossible energy, tearing through fleets and stations alike. Humanity's might, their pride, their technology, their fleets was crumbling. Captain Arlen Hayes stood on the bridge of Dreadnought Titan, the flagship of Earth's fleet. His face was pale, but his eyes burned with resolve. Around him, the last operational human commanders moved with tense efficiency, preparing for a fight they knew they might not survive. Dr. Lyra beside him spoke quietly, almost to herself. "They've already destroyed more than 50 colonies, dozens of fleets. They're faster than light. Our weapons just make them stronger." Hayes clenched his fists. "We have one chance. The first races left a plan, and it's the only way we survive. If we fail, humanity ends here." He gestured to the holographic star map. A glowing red sphere appeared, the dying star Sol X9, located near the Catharan's path. This star was unstable, collapsing slowly, a ticking time bomb. "This star can be our weapon," Hayes explained. "We lure the Catharan near it. When they're close, we trigger a collapse with the Dark Core device. We trap them, maybe destroy them. It's the only option." Lieutenant Reng, still shaking from the earlier attacks, asked, "And the cost?" Hayes did not answer immediately. His gaze went to Earth, glowing in the distance like a fragile gem. "The cost? Maybe our lives. Someone has to activate the device manually." Dr. Lyra stepped forward. You'll do it?" Hayes shook his head slowly. "No, someone needs to survive. Someone has to tell the story. I'll command the fleet, but..." He paused, looking each officer in the eyes. "I will lead the boarding team to the star if it comes to it." Every human ship prepared for the maneuver. Fleets converged near the collapsing star, their engines blazing, shields humming, hearts pounding. The Catharan had detected the fleet immediately, and now a storm of living ships, hundreds, maybe thousands, raced toward them. Their wings sliced space, their bodies glowing, their forms twisting in ways no human mind could comprehend. The first collision shook the fleet. Catharan energy tore through a cruiser, consuming it in a flash. Humans returned fire with plasma cannons, railguns, and experimental Dark Core pulses, but every strike seemed to feed the enemy. The Catharan adapted instantly, absorbing energy, growing stronger. Dr. Lyra's voice cut through the chaos. Captain, they're adapting faster than we can fight. Hayes's hands flew across the controls. Focus on luring them. Don't fire unless necessary. We need them near the star. Explosions rocked the fleet. A Catharen swooped low, its jaws like a black hole, sucking the energy of a nearby destroyer and vanishing into slipspace tiers. The humans were losing ground fast. And then Hayes saw it, a gap in the swarm. A path directly toward Sol X9. He gave the order. All ships follow the path. Keep the Catharen moving. The swarm followed almost mechanically, drawn by some irresistible force. The humans' hearts pounded. Every second counted. Dr. Lyra activated the fleet's communications. Captain, the dark core device is ready, but someone must go inside the star to trigger it manually. The energy release will kill whoever enters. Hayes turned to her. I'll go. It has to be me. The crew fell silent. Fear, respect, and grief mixed in their faces. Hayes whispered almost to himself, This is humanity's last stand, and I will not let them win. As the Catharen drew closer, the humans prepared for one final impossible battle. Stars exploded around them. Ships screamed. Energy pulsed. And Captain Hayes, facing certain death, knew that humanity's courage would be tested like never before. The war was no longer about victory. It was about survival. And survival meant sacrifice. The battle had reached the heart of the collapsing star. Sol X9, bright flares of plasma and energy storms lit up the eye. Void as human ships and Catharen beasts clashed, in a cosmic dance of fire and death. Captain Arlen Hayes gripped the command console of the dreadnought Titan, his knuckles white, his eyes scanning every sensor. The Catharen were faster, smarter, stronger, and yet humanity still fought, clinging to hope like a life raft in a storm. Dr. Lyra's voice came urgently over the comms. Captain, the swarm is breaking formation. They're heading straight for the star. It's time. Hayes nodded grimly. He knew what this meant. Somewhere deep in Sol X9's core, the dark core device awaited activation. Only a living human could trigger it manually. And only someone willing to sacrifice everything. Lieutenant Reng, Hayes said quietly. Relay this order to all ships. Focus fire on the Catharen. Keep them moving. I'll take the device inside. Reng hesitated, tears in his eyes. Sir, don't you... No time, Hayes interrupted. Humanity depends on this. With that, Hayes activated the Titan's docking module and plunged into a smaller shuttle, shielded only by the faith that the device would work. Flames licked the hull of surrounding ships as Catharen swooped past, their glowing bodies slicing space like knives. Inside the shuttle, the journey to the star's heart was harrowing. The vessel shook as Sol X9's gravity fluctuated violently. Energy arcs of blue lightning surged across the shuttle's viewports. Hayes gritted his teeth, holding the controls steady, sweat and blood mixing on his brow. Every second felt like an eternity. Finally, the shuttle reached the device. It hovered above a pool of molten star matter, a cube of ancient alien technology thrumming with blue energy. Hayes knew the activation sequence would consume all life inside the chamber. His breath came in ragged bursts, but his hand moved with precision. He initiated the sequence. The cube glowed brighter, pulsing, resonating with the star's core. Outside, the Catharen sensed the change. Their formation faltered. Panic rippled through their swarm. They screeched in unearthly tones that humans felt as vibrations in their bones. Back on the Titan, Dr. Lyra watched the monitors, tears streaming down her face. He's doing it, she whispered. He's saving us all. The shuttle began to disintegrate under the star's pressure. Hayes's final transmission echoed across space. For humanity. Survive! Fight on! Then darkness. The star erupted in a violent burst, pulling the Catharen toward a new singularity formed by the device. Thousands of creatures were sucked into the gravitational trap, shrieking and twisting as they vanished into the new prison. Energy waves surged across space, knocking human ships off course, damaging their shields, but they survived. Still, not all Catharen were captured. A few small, faster scouts slipped through the collapse and disappeared into deep space, their glowing forms vanishing into the void like whispers of doom. Dr. Lyra collapsed in her chair, exhausted and sobbing, watching the aftermath. She looked at the galaxy and knew humanity had won. For now. But the Catharen threat was far from gone. The holographic comms flickered. A small blue form appeared near the edge of the galaxy. One of the escaped Catharen scouts. Its form was smaller yet terrifying. Its glowing eyes scanned Earth with unmistakable intelligence. And then, in a voice that echoed in no one's ears but everyone's mind, it spoke. Round 2 begins soon. On Earth, humanity celebrated the victory, unaware of the small, fast-moving terror watching from the shadows. The galaxy looked at humans differently now, some with fear, some with respect. They had survived the deadliest beings known. They had fought the impossible and lived. But Captain Hayes' sacrifice weighed heavily on every heart. He was gone, his courage a beacon for generations to come. Humanity had learned a harsh lesson. Curiosity and bravery could awaken nightmares, but unity, courage, and sacrifice could face them. The story ended with a single thought hanging in every human mind. The Catharan were not finished, and one day, they would return. Humanity's war with the galaxy's deadliest creatures had only just begun.